Pretty night in the Mile High City to kick off the final baseball weekend of the year. Rockies and Brewers. Rockies looking to exact some revenge from Milwaukee. Earlier this summer when the Rockies were in Wisconsin, they were swept by the Brew Crew. Chad Bettis to the Coors Field mound. That is always a good thing. The Rockies have won the vast majority of Chad's games this year. And the team has won 9 straight when Chad has started at Coors Field. That's one shy of matching the club record set by Jason Jennings more than a decade ago. Here's the Southwest batting order for Milwaukee. They can hit the long ball. Jonathan Villar's had a great year. He's got 19 home runs. He can really run. Scooter Gennett, Ryan Braun, you know about Braun. Chris Carter has 39 home runs. Braun 30. Domingo Santana, Pop, Hernan Perez, Orlando Arcia, Martin Maldonado, and the pitcher Brent Suter in the first pitch of the ball game in there for strike one.
A nice location on that first pitch for Chad to stay away from Villar and his power.
That ball's inside, 1-1.
Numbers for Chad, 13 and 8, but you said it, Drew, here at Coors Field after the break. 5 starts, he's 4-0 with the .270 ERA.
Well, he has a chance to win 14 ball games.
And everything's in play for Chad. And then sometimes he has a better feel for his slider than he does his curveball, but you have to wait to see what it's like early on. What did the first one that he throws, how does it go, and the feel for that?
1-2 and a swing and a miss on a curveball. Looks like he's got a pretty good curveball tonight.
And he's got the feel for that.
Yes, he does. So Villar is gone. That'll bring up Scooter Gennett. Nice way to start for Bettis.
Well, he got ahead 1-2, and then on the Subaru Super Mode just pulls down to get the rotation on that curveball and get Villar reaching for it.
Gennett, a scrappy second baseman. He plays in the image of his manager, Craig Counsell. He's arbitration eligible after the season, and there's been some speculation that Villar will move from third to second, which could affect naturally Scooter Gennett and his future with Milwaukee. All of that'll play out in what is always a busy winter.
That's 2 paints on the Subaru strike zone. If you could just lay it in there, that's where you want to put both of them.
0-2 on Gennett. And he went right back to that same spot. Gennett fouled it off. Gennett's 0 for 5 career-wise against Chad Bettis. A little earlier start time. Some people still scrambling for work to get here. Should be a really nice crowd. Final fireworks display of the year. And that ball is pulled to right field. Cargo is way over in right center field. So this will be a double for Gennett.
Well, as good as the curveball was to strike out Villar, this one was left in the zone. Got ahead to Scooter and then comes back with the curveball, and he rips it into that right field area. All Cargo can do is wait till it stops, pick it up, and get it back in. 30th double of the season for Scooter.
So here comes the perennial all-star Ryan Braun, and Braun's had a good year. 30 home runs. He's driven in 90 with a .307 batting average. I think a lot of followers of the Brewers, followers of baseball, figured that Braun would be moved around the trade deadline, and then that speculation heated up again toward the end of August, where would he be moved to the Dodgers?
For Puig.
For Puig at one point. Because the Dodgers naturally could use, at the time, could use another outfielder, certainly an outfielder of his stature. He's from Southern California. This ball's bounced to third. Nolan will stare back. Gennett will throw out Braun. Those conversations, those rumors will heat up undoubtedly in the offseason again surrounding Ryan Braun. 2 gone. Let's take a look at the Rockies defensively. Good to welcome DJ back to the diamond. He, of course, at second base. I hope he wins a Gold Glove award. He's deserving of it. So is the guy at third. Dahl, Blackman, and Gonzalez in the outfield. Descalso at short. Cardulo's at first. And Nick Hundley perhaps making his final start with the Rockies. He's a free agent at the end of the year. We'll see how that plays out.
That's always the tough one as you're heading down the last few games and you know that you're into your contract. It's always tough too because you walk in that locker room. You and I were in there today. Guys are about boxing stuff up. They're packing their stuff so they could be shipped. You've had some cars already be shipped out. It's always
it's a strange time of year.
It's a real strange. It's just the opposite of what you feel when you're going to spring training, when you're unpacking the boxes.
And you know, you did it for many, many years, and there's an anticipation when you arrive in February and you're unpacking stuff, and it's first, you know, a clubhouse for the Rockies in Scottsdale, and then ultimately a big league clubhouse, your clubhouse. This time of year, you're looking at guys and say, well, I wonder if I'll play with him again.
True, and some you'll remain friends with afterwards. Others, you know, you play together, but you won't talk to them as much, obviously. It's just a fact of life. You know, you kind of move on with your family, your things, and they do the same. But to me, once you're on the team with me, I still consider you a teammate for the rest of your life.
And that's exactly what Walt said the other day. Here's a 2-1 to Carter, and it's off the end of the bat. He still can hit it pretty far because he's so strong, and it's a easy play for Charlie Blackman. Good start for Chad Bennett. He gave up a one-out double to Jeanette, nothing else. Inning. I'm looking at my partner Jeff Houston right now, and I've known him for a long, long time. I have never seen you look so tired in my life.
I'm a little tired. Got to bed about 4:45 this morning, just like everybody else here.
It was a late night. Here's the Southwest batting order for the Rockies. Charlie Blackman, DJ LeMahieu, that 1-2 punch. Then Nolan will bat third. Cargo fourth. Nick Hundley will bat in the 5 spot. David Dahl, Steven Cardulo, Daniel Descalso, and Chad Bettis against a true soft tossing lefty now. This is Brent Suter. Great story. I mean, he was a 31st round pick out of Harvard. That's right. He's out of Harvard, and there's a base hit the other way for Charlie Blackman. He does not throw hard. In fact, he wouldn't be one of the harder throwers in the Centennial League, but he's been effective.
And he kind of throws under hitting speed, if that's what you're looking for from Brent Suter. You mentioned a 965th pitch overall in that draft back in 2012. Cut fastball is primary pitch, and then a curveball and a slider. Left-handers are hitting higher off of Suter than right-handers. Lefties are hitting 304, and we just saw Charlie get a base hit. Right-handers are hitting 200.
With no extra base hits, Zippo. So here's DJ, and Suter, pretty decent move. Charlie diving back.
Well, to make it to the big leagues, when you're throwing 83, 84 miles an hour, you better be able to do everything else right.
You know, on his scouting report, you were kind of touching on it, they don't even list a fastball. He throws cutter after cutter.
He works fast too, and so at times you might have to end up slowing him down.
And this is going to be a double. Oh, good takeout by Blackman. That's a great big league takeout. It would have been a double play. Jeanette couldn't even fire the baseball.
And even with the new rules, he didn't do anything wrong. He went directly into the bag. Scooter Jeanette didn't get out of there. You're taught as a second baseman to clear yourself, but he stays right on the bag. Charlie slides into him, but is able to hold on. So look at the toss on the Subaru Supermo. So instead of going across the bag and meeting the baseball and cutting down that distance, Scooter Jeanette waits for it to come to him.
Did the kid Arcia throw a little bit too much of a change up to him?
A little bit of a change up, yeah. That one you got to fire hard underhand. But still, for Jeanette, he's got to come off the bag and go get that ball.
I think so many of your brethren in the middle infield are so concerned with staying in contact with the bag. That's one of the other fascinating things that'll take place in the offseason as Nolan swings and
that's a good
count at 1-1.
Yeah, that's a good point, because when you're growing up and in high school and college, everything was get there, make it seem like you're still on the bag, but get off there. And for Scooter now, it's having to relearn some rules.
2-1 on Nolan. I'm sure Nolan's aware that the guy at first base, the big and very affable Chris Carter, is 1 home run shy of where Nolan sits.
Oh yeah, he knows.
This ball drilled to deep center field, way back. Is it 41? You bet! On cue, a little more separation in the home run derby.
And as he went by Chris Carter at first, Carter just kind of watched him go around the bag like, really? Okay. Okay, now you're 2 in front of me.
Well, the youngster on the mound had not given up an extra base hit to a righty. That's all gone now.
And that was a curveball. Nolan waited back on the Subaru Supermo, clipped it right on the sweet spot of the bat. Over that wall out at 415 and then some.
Here's Cargo, and he takes a strike. Some of the other unfinished individual business for Cargo. He needs 1 more RBIs. We've talked about it for a while. It's been 12 days since he's driven in a run. He's an RBI shy of triple digits. Chris Bryant has 39. Chris Carter 39. Nolan with 41 big flies. And Cargo hits this ball to shallow center, and it's going to drop. Comes off the end of the bat. And now Cargo with that hit probably moves. He did. We just did the math. He moves to 299. So there's another individual thing that you know, Cargo can get to 300 now pretty easily.
Yeah, and then he'll just have to wait for number 100 on the RBI. Perez in center. Been starting there the last 10-12 days out there, but he got a little bit of a late break on it as it started to go. Big swing off the end of the bat. Tough to read, especially that ball right at you as a center fielder.
So here's Nick Hundley as the Rockies are up 2-0. Did you see that note, Huey? I know you did. You read everything. The Rockies, 3 of the last 4 years, have swept their final home series. The one time they didn't, it was a 2-game set with Boston, and they went 1-1. Jeanette makes a nice play.
Oh, he's safe.
And now on the tag, that kind of threw Cargo off because it was hit so hard. Cargo's not in slide mode.
Oh, he was only halfway down to second base, so he was going to peel off. Wasn't even going to try to slide because there's no reason to. Right now, he thinks he's out, but another bad feed from Jeanette. That one was high.
Yeah, that's a really poor feed.
Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't even been legal in the old rules. Ends up tagging Cargo out. And Milwaukee, they're 15th in the National League, 30th in baseball as far as errors go.
Yeah,
fielding percentage.
Yeah, they have been.
I mean, that's not going to be an error, but it's still an extra out.
Well, from Craig Counsell's standpoint, they should have turned a couple double plays.
Yeah,
That's
so
how
really,
he looks at it.
Sure, it should be 1-0 with Nolan's home run.
Yep.
Because that double play wasn't turned. Left the extra runner out there.
One ball, two strikes on Dahl. He kind of jumps at you, which probably adds, at least visually, a couple of ticks, wouldn't it?
It does, but you have to trust what your eyes are trying to tell you then.
Foot race, and Dahl's going to win it. Suter didn't get off the mound. Infield hit for David Dahl. And again, you're seeing there's no errors on the board, but really sloppy defense in this first frame for Milwaukee.
Well, and Chris Carter went too far off the bag. That was the other part of the equation. You know, with that runner there, that you're not going to be able to make that. You have to know where your second baseman is. Suter almost broke his ankle as he hits his bag. His foot slips on the bag. Scooter waits. He's got it on the Subaru Supermo, waiting for the pitcher to get over it. But watch his right ankle as he twisted over. But by that time, David had reached the bag for a base hit. 4 hits now in this inning for Colorado.
And there's the accumulation of errors for Milwaukee, and it's not even close. And the Rockies have made too many errors this year. This is up the middle by Cardullo, and Jeanette will win the race to the bag. That'll close the book on the Rockies offense in the first, but it was a productive first inning. Nolan Arenado, home run number 41, RBIs 132 and 133 for the major league leader.
To the top of the second on a Fan Friday out in center field. Jenny Kavnar and Corey Sullivan with you. Glad you can join us for this Fan Friday.
It's my first time. Be gentle.
Okay, this is all about the fans. We want you guys to vote for the top 5 moments in Rockies for this season, in 2016, I should say. We gave you number 5 on the pregame show, so if you missed it, you're gonna have to check Twitter. Number 4 is coming in. You better, you Bettis. Of course, we remember Chad Bettis and his complete game shutout against the Giants right here at Coors Field.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable performance. 103 pitches. He only gave up 2 hits. One to single Eduardo Nunez. Second one was a double to Trevor Brown, but the guy had his full repertoire working. It was a pretty impressive start by Chad Bettis.
All right, fans, what do you think at home? We want you to chime in on Chad Bettis and that complete game, and what you think should be the top 3 moments in the 2016 season, guys.
Yeah, that'll be fun tonight, Jenny. Corey did a great job there. I mean, That may have been his finest moment.
Well, for his first time out there,
yeah.
You bet.
Here's some of the pictures from that complete game shutout from Chad.
Fastball, slider, gets help from his defense. Smiles all around.
Good pitch.
Yep.
A little bit inside.
Inside.
Good pitch though. Good spot.
Still.
2-2 on Domingo Santana.
You got him looking inside. You throw slider away. Go back in. No, went slider inside.
Domingo was born in Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic, largest city in the Dominican Republic, but he spent a good portion of his childhood growing up in St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands. So he was fluent pretty early on in English. He goes down swinging in his first at bat against Chad Bettis. 2 strikeouts already for Chad, and that'll bring up Hernan Perez.
That just keeps adding to Milwaukee's total for strikeouts on the season. 1,511 now.
Well, now they're 25 shy of setting the all-time single season record, not just for the Brewers. That's in the history of Major League Baseball. But you'll notice the strikeouts are way up the last several years. Houston has the mark set in 2013, Arizona 2010, and then the other couple of teams on there, the Cubs, the last 2 years. It used to be, oh my goodness, you struck out. It's not as shameful, not nearly as shameful as it once was, and the home runs are way up.
I mean, if you had the century mark in home runs,
that's a fair ball. Well, in the case of Chris Carter, Carter has struck out 202 times. A 1-out double for Perez. Saw Jeanette have a 1-out double in the first inning.
Snuck this down the right field line. Just a little inside out swing. Steven playing off the line. He hits it off the wall. But Perez has played 7 different positions for Milwaukee. Started in 6 different ones.
This is the young shortstop they're very fond of. The glove's ahead of the bat right now. Orlando Arcia. Saw his brother recently. His brother's been on like 4 teams this year.
In just 1 year.
I mean, all this year.
I think it was with Washington.
Oswaldo, where did we just see Oswaldo?
That's what I'm trying to think.
Arizona? San Diego we saw.
Okay.
Oswaldo.
There he is.
2-0. One final note on the strikeouts. Each of the last 9 years, a new overall record for cumulative strikeouts has been set in Major League Baseball. Two and one.
So his brother Oswaldo played for the Twins, the Rays, the Marlins, and as you mentioned, San Diego this year.
Well, listen, there's still 3 more days left.
Well, we saw Gordon Beckham get traded just this week.
You never know.
You never know.
This is popped up, an easy play on the right side. Cardullo makes the catch, 2 outs. I'll bring up the catcher, Martin Maldonado. Jonathan Lucroy, their everyday catcher for a number of years, right before the trade deadline, and one of the biggest deals of the summer, was traded to Texas after he turned down a deal to Cleveland.
Well, it's different because Cleveland, he wasn't going to be able to catch all the time, which he wanted to do. He knew that if he went to Texas or somewhere else other than going to Cleveland, that he would have the opportunity to catch.
Yeah, Yan Gomes has been hurt, was going to catch in the future. And Lucroy would catch a little bit to play a lot of first base. And from a business standpoint, Lucroy's a really good hitter, and when you look at his numbers as a catcher, that is going to garner him more dollars than if he's a first baseman putting up, solid offensive numbers, but not, he's not a 35 home run guy. And so the industry would look upon that a little bit differently.
Well, especially if you're going to arbitration or you're trying to become a free agent. And how do those numbers stack up with other first basemen or catchers? And so he's going to make more money if they're stacked up, as you referenced, against the catcher.
I don't blame him at all. I think he made the right decision.
That's part of your right as a player and the rules with which they stand right now. Because I think he was a 10-5 guy, so he had the right.
No, he wasn't actually he's not a 10-5 guy, but what he
had the no
contractually
trade.
He had
That's
in
right.
his deal certain teams that he could veto a trade to. Two and one, 2 outs, and no swing. 3-1. This is where Bettis is being really smart. He's got the pitcher on deck.
Just put him on.
And go ahead. That's why Nick stood up. And so an intentional walk to Maldonado. First and second for Brent Suter. The day after every Rockies win, get 50% off your online order at Papa John's. Use the promo code ROCKSWIN at papajohns.com. Rockies fell yesterday 7-2, though they produced 10 hits. Final game against the Giants. Milwaukee was off yesterday. They were playing down in Texas. Lost 2 of 3 to the Rangers. They've lost 4 of 5 overall. Bouncing ball to third, and the flip to DJ will end the inning. And good pitching again after a 1-out double by Chad Bettis. Rockies up 2-0 on the Arenado big fly. Storylines, home sweet home. The Rockies have played better in the second half than they did in the first half at 20th and Blake. DJ LeMahieu, as we've discussed, pursuing another batting title for a Rocky. It would be his first, and Nolan started the day at 40. He's up to 41. So here we go with Daniel Descalso in the bottom of the second inning. 8-9-1 for Colorado against the Harvard product Brent Suter. One of the things that's impressive about Suter, he's ahead 0-2. Looking at his numbers from AAA, Colorado Springs the last 2 years, the Rockies' former affiliate. Rockies, as we all know, down in Albuquerque a little further down I-25 now. The PCL, tough league. Colorado Springs Security Field, really tough place to pitch. He fashioned, while he was in Colorado Springs, a 3.70 ERA in 32 games, 21 starts down there. He gives a base hit here to Daniels.
And only walked 1.2 batters per 9 innings pitched down in Colorado Springs.
Kind of gets your attention, doesn't it?
Well, and that's why he got called up. A little different here, though, in the major league level. Made his only start prior to this one. It's against Seattle.
He's been terrific out of the bullpen, unscored upon in 12+.
Yeah, all the runs he's given up. He's given up 6 runs now in his short major league career that have come while he's been a starter. Boy, I just saw this, the third baseman VR just charging so hard. If I'm Chad, I just saw that, and I'll swing the bat now and try to hit it right down his throat. No, he just went with the easy sacrifice bunt to first.
He gets the job done. Descalso to second. That'll bring up Charlie Blackmon, who had a base hit the other way in the first inning. Fans, when the Rockies score 7 or more runs, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations. Do it the following day. Do it between 4 and 6, and you will receive your Rockies Taco Special.
This is Chad Best's 5th sacrifice bunt this year.
Blackmon a chance to drive in his 80th run of the year. Takes high. So whenever you have a Harvard guy, you wonder, all right, what did he major in? Glad you asked. Environmental science and public policy.
Sure. Who wouldn't want to major in that?
The biology major. There's a base hit. Can Descalso score on it? I think he will. No throw. RBI number 80. Charlie Blackmon makes it 3-0 Colorado. It's a nice. It's got a nice ring to it, doesn't it?
It's a very even sounding number, that 80, with which he gets. Now, 5 of the 6 hits tonight have come from the left-handers. Charlie with the second one, his first RBI, driving in Descalso, who had singled up the middle.
LeMahieu at the plate, 0 for 1. Bounced into a force out his first time. He would come around on the Arenado home run, a line drive over the center field wall. Blackmon gets chased back. Charlie's 17 stolen bases this year. A year ago, he stole 43. Did not look to run nearly as much this year. But he takes off. He gets a big jump. Throw's not going to get him. That's number 18.
Part of the reason he hasn't been running as much is because you have DJ at the plate. You want to make sure that he has that hole over there, that 4-hole. But he read that now, though, after a couple pickovers and throwovers.
Ooh. That, you know what? Initially, it didn't look that close.
No, not at all. But got him underneath the leg on the Subaru Supermo. And they're going to ask him to put the headset on. Take another peek at this.
Second base umpire Scott Barry will go under the hood with Tony Randazzo. Not literally, figuratively.
That's what they do in the NFL, where they kind of throw it over the top. Trying to see if he got him. Oh, you know where he might have got him?
On the spike?
On the foot, yeah, the back foot. Instead of his 18th stolen base, it'll be the 8th caught stealing for Charlie.
So 2 outs, nobody on, and LeMahieu with a 1-0 count. DJ down the right field line, and it'll be caught over there by Domingo Santana. In the inning, a base hit by Descalso, a base hit by Blackman, and the Rockies up 3-0.
On this Fan Friday, we are excited to reveal the top 5 moments of the 2016 season as voted on by you, the fans. You can go to @RootSports_RM, cast your vote. You can also catch up on the top 5 in case you missed number 5 and number 4. We're already at number 3. We're going to turn to Nolan Arenado, turning 40. His 40th home run at Dodger Stadium, and then he got the bat signed by Vin Scully. I mean, does it get cooler than that?
Well, I don't know. He hit his first career home run in Dodger Stadium. Then he hits his 40th of the season. It's one of Vin's last home run calls. He grew up as a Dodger. Plus, Spilly got to see the chain of custody of how this bat got it and made its way to Vin Scully. So it was pretty cool.
Spilly, come on, man. Was it the coolest thing you've ever seen?
No, it wasn't the coolest thing I've ever seen because Nolan's friends and family were hanging on to that baseball bat, and they were wielding it around the bus before the team got on after the game ended. This might be a nice play by Descalso. Great play down the left field line. So one of the family members has the bat, and he's swinging it around, and it says on the bat, it says, to Nolan, had the pleasure of calling the 40th home run, Vin Scully. And the guy kept almost grabbing the autograph on the barrel, and I was going to lose my mind. I'm like, hey, that is a Hall of Fame bat. There's only been 3 other times in Major League history that a hitter 25 years or lower has hit 40 home runs and 130 RBIs. And really, that's a Hall of Fame bat with Vince Scully's autograph on it. And so I was
Where was your bubble wrap? That's what I want to know. You used to have to start wheeling around bubble wrap. Take matters into your own hands.
I was ready to. I mean, I was. If that bat got damaged by any way, I would have lost my mind, because I know that bat meant a lot to Nolan. And Nolan has told me specifically this season, even though he still ended up 41 home runs right now, 130 plus RBIs, it has been a real big grind for him.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Well, we're going to continue to count down the top 5 moments. So go ahead and send in your thoughts at rootsports_RM. Drew, Jeff, I know you guys enjoyed that moment with Nolan and home run number 40 in LA.
But, you know, I think Spilly accurately described a couple of things there. The funny story with Vince signing the bat. But he did grind. And Corey, you know this. Huey, you know this from having played for a long time. There were a lot of times this year where just Nolan did not feel like himself at the plate. And now here we are in the waning days of the season. And the dude has 41
right.
home runs, 133 driven in, and he has a chance to hit 300.
And I just think it shows you how talented Nolan is, how gifted he is, but then on the same side, how hard this game can be at times.
I don't think anybody will be surprised by what I'm about to say. Just the way he rolls. He hit 42 last year. He's already hit 1 tonight. He's going to end up with 43. He's going to hit 2 more this weekend.
I don't doubt anything that he does on the baseball field. He's already set his career high in RBIs.
Good pickup by Cardullo.
And a good flip. But Nolan, knowing that Chris Carter's right on his heels, Chris Bryant's right on his heels, he goes out in his first at bat and takes one deep. Says, well, no, I'm going to distance myself from you guys by a couple.
You're wondering what Nolan
Kemp,
was
though,
doing.
right?
What's that?
I'm just looking at this list right here. Matt Kemp has climbed his way up into the top 4.
He's under the radar because
Yeah.
he moved to Atlanta. We don't see him as much as when he was with the Dodgers and the Padres. But, you know, Matt's continued to put up big offensive numbers, certainly when it comes to home runs and driving guys in. Here's Ryan Braun. He fouls that off.
Let me add something about Nolan this year. And Huey, you guys were already mentioning about having the boxes in the locker room. That's a distraction, and it's something that can frustrate players, especially for guys like Nolan and Cargo, DJ, and Blackie who are trying to finish on a strong note. Obviously, they're competing. They're not competing for personal accolades, but it can be distracting. You get to the field, you see boxes, you see guys that have just joined in the big leagues. There's all this distraction to prevent you from keeping that solid routine, and I appreciate watching these guys. I saw Charlie in the video room today, still getting his stuff done. You see how he's playing tonight with his hair on fire. It's special with these guys, and I think when we look at them and we look at the year that they had, I really marvel at what they were able to accomplish for the course of the season, because it has been a grind.
And it'll always be a grind. I think if you talk to some of the Chicago Cubs, it's been a little bit easier. They've won over 100 ball games. They've been out in front for a long time. But I mean, you guys know when you guys play 162
in about 182 days,
it can't be anything but a grind. There's no way you're going to feel good every day.
No.
There's no way physically, mentally.
But that's where you have to almost talk to yourself and say, you know what, I know I'm not as strong as I was, but I got to get through it. I got to get through this game and get some hits and help us try to win.
Bettis on his game. He strikes out Ryan Braun in a 1-2-3 third. That's the 3rd strikeout for Chad Bettis. Rockies up 3-0. Nolan's going to lead it off next frame. Rockies got 2 in the first on a 2-run home run by Nolan Arenado. Got another run in the second, and here's Nolan leading off the third. Charlie Blackmon delivered the Rockies' 3rd run, base hit, driving Daniel Descalso. 80 RBIs for Blackmon. Been in, 1 ball, 1 strike. The home run for Nolan to dead center field, his 41st of the year. Here is our Mako big hit with a man aboard in the first. Took a curveball out over the head and over the wall, over the head of Hernan Perez. 2-2. 27-year-old Brent Suter on the mound. 6'5", a couple 100 pounds.
His dad played football at Penn State.
Mom was a college athlete at Penn State as well. This ball is fisted fair down the right field line, and this is going to be a double for Nolan. That one he did not get on the barrel.
No, he got that on the knuckles.
But he'll take the result.
You never complain about a base hit, no matter how bad it is or how much it got into the kitchen. Watch on the Subaru Super Bowl. I mean, he really fought that ball off and just snuck it inside the bag. That's what you have to do when somebody's only throwing 83, 84 miles an hour. Think the other way, and sometimes you're going to get beat, but you're still have the right approach.
35 doubles for Nolan. Cargo's above 40 doubles this year.
This is where he gets his 100th RBI. I'm going to call it right now. If they get him a pitch to hit.
Well, you know what would be neat? He'd get his 100th RBI, and with a hit, it may put him at the 300 mark also. Nolan's up to 297. Cargo's sitting on 299 after his first inning knock. Guys are aware too, if you're wondering at home, this time of year, you're aware. You may not be in the middle of the year, you may not be aware of different numbers, but when you get to this point,
you are. You see where you're at with certain numbers, and for Cargo, it's that 100 RBIs. What's that mean to him? Well, it means it'd be the 2nd time he's done it in his career. Where you're at for maybe games played, at bats, plate appearances. Because sometimes you do have incentives in your contract that those will play into.
This ball served to center field, and it's going to hang up. And Perez makes the catch.
A little reminiscent of his first at bat where he hit it off the end. That one hung up longer than the base hit in the first.
1 out, that'll bring up Hundley. Nick hit the ball hard his first time up. Reached on a fielder's choice. Hundley's hitting 10 out of 11 starts this month. 351 average, and now he's hitting 11 out of 12. Around third, here comes Nolan. Throw to the plate is not in time. Nick Hundley has driven in his 48th, and the Rockies have a 4-0 lead.
What the second half that Nick has had.
Outstanding.
It has been really good. A lot of home runs, RBIs. 48. His batting average is climbing up to 260.
Well, the 2 biggest catching names that will be free agents are Wilson Ramos, who is going to be rehabbing from a torn ACL, and I'm doubtful whether he'll be ready
I don't think he
at
will
the beginning of next year. And the other big name is Matt Wieters, the longtime Oriole catcher and a frequent all-star. And then there's a group of guys after that, including Nick Hundley. Line to left field by David Dahl, 2 outs. That'll bring up Cardullo.
Number 65, Steven Cardullo.
One of the best times we have, Drew, is when you go to fantasy camp, and you can become a Colorado Rocky when you sign up for fantasy camp, taking place at Salt River Fields and Talking Stick, January 31st through February 4th, 2017. Visit Rockies.com/fantasy camp for details.
It's a blast Tuesday through Saturday this year, and then you can stagger home and watch Super Bowl the next day. With ice bags all over your body.
Well, yeah, just sit in the ice bath. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah. Fantasy camp never disappoints. 1 ball, 1 strike.
No, it doesn't. Talking with Jason Fleming today, who, along with Ian Beverly, kind of helped put that all together. Beverly Coleman, they just do a tremendous job. First class the whole way. Got to sign up and do it.
Jason's working on his Charlie Blackmon beard.
I saw that.
Two and 1 on Cardullo. 2 for his last 20 at the plate.
I'm sure these two faced off a couple times this year.
PCL.
Yeah, the PCL with Steven at Albuquerque. Mentioned Suter at Colorado Springs.
Hard ground ball through the right side, a base hit. Hundley to second. Bring up Descalso at a 2-strike base hit, his first time up.
This is similar to Nolan's approach inside out on the Subaru Supermo, where he hits it off the label. Probably got it out a little bit closer to the sweet spot than Nolan did, but same result. Both of them base hits.
Breaking ball for a strike. That hit in the second inning for Descalso was the 400th of his career. Back pick, and they're going to get him. Good throw by Maldonado. And they get Nick Hundley at second base to end the inning. Rockies score again. They get a leadoff double from Arenado. He comes around on a Hundley base hit. By Subaru. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. And by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Rockies up 4-0, 2 in the first, single runs in the second and third. We embark on the fourth inning, and changes already for the Rockies with DJ 0 for 2 and 1 at bat to play with over the weekend, and still maintain his lead on Daniel Murphy. He's been removed from the game. Descalso goes from short to second, and Pat Valleca enters. He'll play shortstop. Shift is on for Chris Carter. Breaking balls in the dirt. Carter hit a fly ball to center his first time up. 39 home runs, 92 RBIs for the former Astro.
He's a career high for home runs and RBIs. He also leads the National League with 203 strikeouts.
3-0. Carter does own a home run against Bettis. He's not going to hit for a high average, but he can change a game. I think Milwaukee likes him and be part of their immediate future, it appears.
Spent a little time with Chris Carter walking into the stadium today, and he hit a ball in AAA that was the farthest ball I've ever seen hit. Like that.
Yep, that's number 40. He is strong. I mean, there's not a lot of wind up with the body. He just kind of drops the barrel on it and it goes really far. 4-1. 40 home runs, quite a achievement for Chris Carter.
Well, like Carter was watching Nolan as he rounded first, Nolan was kind of watching him as he was rounding third. He reached out, just kind of touched that one, but touched it over the wall into the bullpen.
It's not a real violent swing.
No, it's not. It's not a big leg kick or a big rock back. It's very simple. He just overpowers the ball.
Well, going back to my story about Chris Carter and the longest home run I've ever seen hit, I asked him if he even remembered the home run. It was in Round Rock, and he hit this ball. You'd have to know what Round Rock is in AAA to understand it, but it went over a berm that nobody hits it over. And I said, do you remember that home run? And he blank stared. He was like, I've hit a lot of long home runs.
Spilly, you would have remembered it, but you know, Chris, that's a somewhat frequent occurrence for him, evidently.
No, not ringing any bells.
Yeah. 2-2 on Domingo Santana. Carter came into the ball game at 220. Dougie dug up an interesting fact. Only one time in Major League history has a player hit 40 or more home runs and hit less than 225. Couple quick guesses for you. This ball's to the gap in left center field. It's going to run to the wall, and Santana is going to have a double.
14th double this season for Santana. Really hit. Oh, a slider on the Subaru Supermo that didn't have much action, just spun up there. Santana made Chad pay.
So nobody out. Santana at second. Hernan Perez at the plate. He doubled his first time.
So how many guys?
Only one other player has hit 40 home runs while hitting below 225. Nice pickup, Nolan. And he'll get the out at first. Great play.
Nolan with his cat-like reflexes going to the line. When you have a runner at second base, you don't have much time to try to decide what you need to do. So he says, I've just got to get to first and get this out and hope that he doesn't come over to second. And he didn't. The short hop pick on the Subaru Supermo. The other problem you have, once you kind of dive and you put your right hand or your throwing hand down, you'll end up coming up with a lot of dirt on your hand. Sometimes that ball, you won't get the same grip on it, but for Nolan, it wasn't a problem.
You know, we never talk about it, jumping around here. We never talk about it, or I should say we never. We don't talk about it probably enough. Great hands, phenomenal hands. He has a great bare hand on slow rollers. Sometimes they're not even slow rollers that he chooses to use his bare hand. But Nolan possesses one of the great left side arms in baseball. He has a cannon.
And very accurate from different throwing positions. I mean, if he needs to drop down, he can drop down, and it's just as hard as if he's over the top.
I mean, he basically, and we've seen him do it this many times, he basically threw that across the diamond with velocity, because you got a runner on second, from his knees.
From his knees.
Descalso, Cargo don't collide. Catch by Carlos. Spilly, any guess?
I think I got this one.
All right, what do you got?
Adam Dunn.
Yeah, you're all over it. Adam Dunn, Chicago White Sox, 2012. First time I saw Adam Dunn, I was doing a University of Texas football game in Austin, and he was the backup, and he was on the sideline. I want to say it was his true freshman year, because he didn't play. I don't think he played beyond that. He just turned to baseball. And I want to tell you, in shoulder pads and a helmet, that is one big quarterback.
And he used to have an arm. Man, he could crank it out.
No, he was a big time
yeah.
high school recruit. It wasn't like he walked on and he was more of a baseball player. And that's when, you know, Mac Brown, I think Mac was there. It wasn't John Makovic. Mac had it going. So Adam Dunn, a quarterback at the University of Texas for a while.
Fans, if you haven't planned your holiday party yet, you can do it here with the unique indoor event spaces and views of the snow-capped mountains. Coors Field has a perfect space to celebrate the season. For more information, call 303 Rockies.
Brent Suter with 2 on and 2 outs. If I'm Ed Cedar at third, I am looking over my shoulder. He's the third base coach.
And I'm also yelling out of the dugout, take the donut off the bat.
Missed there, 1 and 2.
Somehow right. Not sure how.
He's not sure how. You know where he's from? He's from Moeller High School in Cincinnati, which is big power. Yeah, in so many sports. His dad went to Cincinnati Moeller, won a mythical national championship at Moeller, and then won at Penn State in '82. That's foul also.
Moeller, is that where Griffey went?
That's where Griffey went. Larkins went there. And a lot of guys. In fact, Jacob, my oldest college roommate from Cincinnati Moeller. They're everywhere.
The powerhouse back there.
He went. And that's all. In the inning, a home run by Chris Carter, his 40th. It's 4-1 Colorado. Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Subaru. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. And by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Rockies up 4-1. Final series of the year. The Rockies taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. Lost 3 times to Milwaukee earlier this year. Trying to return the favor here at home. Rockies sitting on a record of 74-85. The Brewers came in at 71-88. Descalso, Bettis, and Blackman. Daniel was at the plate when Nick Hundley was backpicked by the catcher Martin Maldonado. That's a strike.
Staying away on the Subaru strike zone to Daniel. He just hung one to him.
Suter works quickly. Bettis works quickly. And that tied up Daniel. That's the first strikeout of the ball game for Suter. That'll bring up Bettis.
Talked about Suter being drafted in the 31st round, 965th pick overall. But there have been 3 other starters to make it to the big leagues that were drafted after Suter. Ryan Dole by Oakland in the 32nd round. Ryan Gardner by Tampa in the 34th, and then Kendall Graveman of Miami in the 36th round.
You know who was drafted above the 40th round? That had an outstanding big league career? Coach at first base for the Colorado Rockies. Eric Young was a 2-sport star, football and baseball at Rutgers. It happens, but it has a whole lot to do with the character and the work ethic of the guy you draft that late. 2 outs. Blackman's 2 for 2, including an RBI.
Doing the slow play as he walks to the plate to give Chad an extra couple seconds in the dugout.
Rockies are 41-37 at home. They finished the season 33-48 out on the road. There's another strike, 0-2. Charlie's at 321 after the 2 hits tonight. He's hitting 16 of 18. That is inside.
Ooh, not by much, but Charlie spit on the Subaru strike zone, excuse me, Subaru strike zone. I'll get that out.
See Charlie hanging into the whole way. You can see the spin on that. It's either going to hit him or he's going to make sure that sometimes you show too much body language bailing and it gets called strike 3.
I don't think we've ever seen Charlie bail from something inside. He's not afraid to get hit.
He gets hit a ton. More than anybody else on the Rockies. He's been hit 13 times this year. Two other guys with 4. Christian Adames has been hit 4 times. Mark Reynolds hit 4 times. Actually, Trevor Story was hit 5 times.
Okay. I remember Trevor's one time up by the wrist. A little concern there. And of course, Reynolds getting hit on the wrist. Knocked him out the rest of the season.
Speaking of the rookies, last night, we were flying with all of them. How about the swimsuit issue?
I like the medals, too, that they gave each of the players to wear to complete the ensemble.
It is a tradition, not just with the Rockies, throughout Major League Baseball. On one trip, all the rookies have to dress up, and the veterans are the ones that pick the costumes. The costumes that were selected this year were Speedos, and everybody had U.S. Speedos and U.S. baiting caps. That is a fair ball and a base hit. He tried to go Utley.
There's only
he went Chase Utley on us, but he didn't have the marksmanship that Chase did.
There's only one Utley throw when you're on your belly trying to throw it behind you to a bag at first base. And Charlie nubs it down the line, and then a collision, but there's nothing wrong with it because Charlie's just running down the line, ends up trying to get out of the way.
You see Chris Carter, he's looking at us saying, well, no shot.
Just going to stay here.
So anyhow, the ensemble was the U.S. Speedo baiting suit. It had an Olympic theme.
Right.
The baiting caps, and there were some faux medals.
That's what I like.
Yeah. It's pretty funny. Those guys got off easy, though, because usually the players, the veterans, try to do it when it's a day game and they're arriving at the next hotel right when in a high traffic time of day, shall we say.
Yeah, so they would have to walk through the lobby.
Charlie thought he had a stolen base in the second, and then they reviewed it. Initially, he was called safe. They reviewed it, and they reversed it, so he lost his 18th stolen base.
But he does have his 19th three-hit game of the season.
Pat Valleca's first at bat. DJ went 0 for 2. It's Pat Murphy. He's talking to their video coordinator as to whether or not they're going to challenge this one. But DJ could have gone 0 for 3 and still maintained the lead on the injured Daniel Murphy for the batting crown in the National League.
This is where they get some of these speed up rules they're talking about. They've been waiting now for almost 30 seconds to determine if they're going to check the replay.
Well, the other night, St. Louis game in Cincinnati said, hey, you didn't get it done in time. Told Brian Price, can't challenge, too late.
And that should have been just a ground rule double,
which would have held the winning run at third base.
But you don't know what's going to happen, because was it the night before, 2 nights before, they had the leadoff triple and he didn't end up scoring for St. Louis, and they lost the ball game.
Valleca fouls off the 1-1. It's 1-2.
Nice interview that Billy had with his brother Chris Valleca yesterday out in San Francisco. He's talking about the bond and both brothers playing in the big leagues, what it means to each other.
It's amazing stuff.
I liked how Chris said in that interview, he said, well, Pat was the last guy we kind of thought would make it to the big leagues. Spoken like only a brother could say it.
We're shocked.
Yeah, he's just so laid back.
I thought Pat stunk. Brent Suter, when he graduated from Moeller High School, second in his class. It's one of the ways you get into Harvard. He is. Yeah, I was going to say he's fixated on getting Charlie, and he got him. 1-3 on the pickoff. And that'll end the 4th innings. First inning, the Rockies have not scored it. They have a 4-1 lead as we go to the 5th.
We head to the top of the 5th. We're continuing to count down our top 5 moments of the 2016 season. You can catch them online at rootsports_RM. Let's get to moment number, drum roll.
Number
2.
There you go.
Top 5 moment number 2. Wolf of Blake Street. Of course, we're talking John Gray and 16 strikeouts against the Padres. He was dealing. You and I ran out to the set because we didn't want to miss a pitch.
We did not. Hands down, the best pitching performance of a Colorado Rocky at Coors Field. 16 strikeouts, 4 in 1 inning, 6 consecutive strikeouts. Ground ball right there to Daniel Descalso at second base. An incredible job by John Gray. Hands down, his slider was the filthiest pitch I've ever seen that night.
He definitely perfected the strikeout that night, but Ryan Spilborgh's had the opportunity to perfect what you're hearing right now. That is the wolf howling. Ow!
That's a high-pitched young wolf, it sounds like.
Hang on, by the way, I have heard Sully howl, I've heard Spilly howl, I've actually heard Jeff Houston howl. I've never heard Drew howl like a wolf.
Ooh.
Did you say woof? It's a wolf.
Wolf. Wolf.
Wolf. Wolf, not wolf. We know you got a dog. Not wolf. Wolf.
Wolf.
Say the L.
Let's take the focus off me and put it back on Drew.
I've never heard Huey. Huey, you go first.
Well, why don't you two just go together? John Gray, 16 strikeouts.
That was
there
a tandem.
In unison.
That was some good woofing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Woof, woof.
Well, that was some
Wolf.
Go ahead.
He's not out there.
Now, that was a night, though.
That was spectacular.
I've seen a few dominating performances by pitchers in my career and lifetime, but that was definitely in the top. What he did.
Cardullo will walk to the bag. Jeanette is retired. 2 gone in the 5th. And that'll bring up Ryan Braun, who's 0 for 2, a ground ball to third and a strikeout.
It's the 6th ground ball out tonight by Chad.
Tyler Cravey is throwing in Milwaukee's bullpen.
Well, Suter's at 72 pitches, hasn't made a start since August 19th. Been working out of the bullpen, and he's probably done as far as the number of pitches they want him to throw tonight.
And Braun hits it on 2 hops to Nolan. Not a good place to hit it if you want to reach. Strong inning for Bettis. Short and economical. How about 6 pitches? Rockies 4 and the Brewers 1. Coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. Let's check the wild card races as we are down the last few days of the season. The Mets are leading tonight, and they're a game up on the Giants for the top wild card spot in the National League. St. Louis a game behind the Giants, and Baltimore and Toronto a dead heat. They're a game and a half in front of Detroit.
Detroit might have to play on Monday.
Because of the bad weather.
Yeah.
Detroit. The Mets are now leading 5-1 on Philadelphia in the 8th inning. 1-1 count on Pat Valaika. And this ball's lined to right, and it is a foul ball. St. Louis has a 1-0 lead with Carlos Martinez on the hill against the Pirates in the 5th inning. Dodgers and Giants later on tonight. That's Madison Bumgarner for San Francisco, and it's Rich Hill for the Dodgers. The series is meaningless from the Dodgers' perspective. Toronto in the 6th in the American League, leading 3-1. Is it 2-1 or 3-1?
3-1.
Over Boston. 3-1 over Boston. Baltimore's leading the Yankees.
It's 8-1.
Convincingly. With those good long-range eyes going. Valaika stays alive.
Speaking of the Cardinals, did you see that just recently, last couple days, that the Cardinals informed Matt Holliday that they would not pick up his club option? And
yeah,
so they activated him today, so the fans can kind of salute him and say thanks for all you've done. I thought that was, I mean, after not picking up the option, that was a nice gesture just so the fans can say goodbye to him.
Yeah, it's tough. I know these next few days. Bring Spilly in. Spilly played with Matt and remains very, very close. We all know Matt well. It's tough. I mean, Matt has had a superb career, and he's now been in St. Louis because he's in Colorado and shared some great memories here. He's been in St. Louis for a lot of big moments, and that's going to be a tough few days for Matt, I imagine.
No doubt. It's going to be emotional, and when your season ends the way it has for Matt Holliday, he was hit by a pitch from Mike Montgomery and was having a pretty good season, was 1 home run short of hitting 20 this season. And you look at his career history and his numbers, only a couple hits away from 2,000, a couple hits away from 300. Would have loved to have done it in St. Louis. And I think when you look at the Cardinals moving forward and that last 6 weeks for Matt, he might have been able to stay in St. Louis given the fact that he didn't get hurt. And that's the part of the business that's so difficult. That's a part of the side that we don't get to see too often, is when front offices have to make decisions based on finances. Matt's option is for a lot of money.
Yeah, they would have 17 million, I believe.
Yeah.
And, you know, Matt wants to keep playing. Spilly, you talk to him all the time. Matt's probably going to have to make the transition to, and he's taking ground balls there. In fact, when he was in Denver, even though he wasn't playing, he was taking ground balls at first base. And, you know, potentially if it's an American League club, you know, a DH role. But if he's a first baseman, it opens up, you know, more opportunities. And when he first signed, that's strike 3 on Nolan. When he first signed, Matt was a third baseman. It's not like he's never been on the dirt.
Well, that's what, for Matt, that's something that's a conversation he'll have with his agents. And I'll go play first, because instead of just 15 teams to choose from, if it's just DH, I got 30 now. I could look at a lot of different things.
He'll be 37 next April on opening day. 1,993 hits, 294 home runs, 448 doubles. 2 outs for Cargo. And a check swing, roller, stay fair, hit the bag. It did. Brent Suter did some quick calculations, couple logarithms, and he said it will go foul.
The Harvard education helped him out on this one.
At 89 feet and 11 inches, it will veer foul.
Well, and with the velocity of the baseball, the slope of the earth, everything involved, it's a foul ball.
And it literally did at 89 feet and 11 inches.
Look
Watch
at
this thing.
Just right on the Subaru Superboat. Suter kicks up some grass. Oh my!
I've never seen one that close. Cargo hits this ball left center field. It is playable out there for Braun, and he'll make the catch. A 1-2-3 inning in the 5th for Brent Suter. The Rockies lead it 4-1.
Top 5 moments in 2016, and although this is not from a Rocky, it is a moment that we truly enjoyed. Time for the timeless moment, brought to you by Coors Banquet. Ichiro with his 3,000th career hit. That was August the 7th, 2016. Obviously, Ichiro had a triple to collect that 3,000 hit. He now joins Paul Molitor as the only member of the 3,000 hit club to do so with the triple. He's also the 30th member of the 3,000 hit club, and it truly was an enjoyable experience. We all spent it with Japanese media up in the press box, and it was packed. And when that ball was hit up in the air, it was hit high enough that everybody in the press box had to duck to kind of watch it. And at first we thought it was a home run, but it was fitting that it ended up being a triple just because Ichiro at age 41 years old can still cut the pillows.
You've been waiting all year to work that one in, huh?
Oh, yeah. You got to save your best for last. Yeah, you save it for Fan Friday.
And you thought about that on the plane flight home last night?
Oh, yeah, all night.
All night long.
This ball's drilled to left center field deep by Carter, and it's going to short hop the wall. And Carter has a double to go along with that monstrous home run he hit in his last at bat.
So for Carter this year, he has 120 hits, 68 extra base hits.
Do you want a man that size hitting singles?
No, and I don't want to be playing the infield when he comes to the plate either. But my rough calculation in my University of Wyoming education, it's just right around 57% of the time it's extra base hits.
Call down a suitor. He'll tell you exactly what it is. Domingo Santana at the plate. Rockies leading 4-1. We're in the 6th inning. They have out hit Milwaukee 10-5 tonight. You know, one thing that trumps everything else when you look at statistics for a pitcher: does your club win when you're on the mound? This ball's ripped. Oh, what a play by Nolan. And the pick at first by Cardullo.
There's some
second gorgeous play of the night by Arenado.
And there's some arm strength for you. This one was even more difficult than the last one, because he didn't have a chance. It was hit so hard that he knew, I've got to throw it from my knees. And then Steven Cardullo did the right thing, knowing where the runner was. We'll take one more look on the Subaru Supermo. But for Steven, knows where the runner is, so he goes and picks it, but makes sure he goes back and tags the bag with his foot. So there's no guesswork. No, let's go look at the video on that.
What's the matter with Nolan? He couldn't catch that one. Here comes Carter to the plate. The throw by Dahl's on line, and Carter's out at the plate. David Dahl with a perfect throw. That looked like the throw he made in the Futures game,
where he threw the guy out when he was playing center and just airmailed it to home plate. I'm a little surprised that they sent Carter, because he had to wait to see where that line drive was over the top of Nolan. So he froze momentarily, but then the one hop to Nick and an easy tag. Look at how easy he's just waiting for Carter to come on in and tag him out.
That Cedar sent him, and Dahl made a perfect throw. This is a base hit for Arcia. Third hit of the inning. And that'll bring up the catcher, Martin Maldonado.
Drew, we talked last night about throwing the baseball from different spots in the outfield, and I told you that the throw from left field is probably the most difficult, because you have such a small throwing window to make the throw, and oftentimes you'll see the baseball get tossed from left field and it runs into the runner rounding the bases. That the line of fire is just in line with the baseball. But when you make a perfect throw like that, it almost feels like you're leading a wide receiver down the line for a touchdown. And when you get to see the umpire throw down the gauntlet and tell that base runner he's out, I'm telling you, for an outfielder, there's not a better feeling. So pay attention to the window. It's a very small window, and David Dahl does such a great job getting around the baseball to get himself centered to make that throw. You can see how the ball goes almost in line with Chris Carter's left shoulder, like a lead pass, and it's the best feeling for any outfielder, I promise you.
That's why Walt yesterday, when discussing the rookie campaign of David Dahl, said this is a real toolsy kid. He's got pop. He's hit for average. We know he runs exceptionally well. And really, for one of the first times we saw that plus arm on display.
everything you could want as on a scout point of view on that throw. Had good arm strength and it had carry. So it didn't die once it hit the grass, it skipped.
Plus he had to circle quite a bit to get to that baseball. Get his feet in line. 1-2 on Maldonado with 2 on and 2 outs. And now Nick trying to throw out Perez, who took off. It's a double steal. Milwaukee pulled it off. Boy, that's an unusual place normally in the 8th spot in the lineup to see that, especially down by 3 runs.
But it looked like a a delayed steal, because he didn't take off right away. He took a hop and then he went.
Now it's the Rockies' turn, and Walt has just indicated to home plate umpire Tony Randazzo he wants it reviewed. He'd do this on his own? Was it dictated by where Nolan was playing defensively?
I think where Nolan was playing, but you don't really expect a delayed steal of third base. You'll see it going into second base, but not to third base. There's the foot. That was really hard to see. This is well, I don't know. Looking at this, as the foot goes into the bag, where and when does he tag him? Tagging him on the calf, but where is the foot kind of going into that bag? You lose the distance there.
And they call him safe.
So that'll be the 34th stolen base for Perez and the 7th for Arcia. The 178th stolen base on the year for Milwaukee,
which is the most in baseball. So now, you know, the whole point is it's 2-2, so they're gonna go after him here, but you're gonna be careful. That's inside, and that you're gonna have a pinch hitter on deck. You don't have the pitcher spot, so you can't just pass on Maldonado as they did the first couple of times. But you can still be somewhat judicious. You got a guy coming off the bench cold. Three and 2. Big pitch here. Wow. He tried to throw that front door cutter that we used to see Josh Fogg throw all the time. Tried it twice and just missed twice.
Indeed, it was inside. You have a lot of space there on the Subaru strike zone between the 6th pitch and the strike zone. And don't miss Fan Appreciation Day at Coors Field this Sunday. That's October 2nd. Download the MLB.com ballpark app and check in to win over 100 prizes of Rockies merchandise and autographed items. And the first 15,000 fans will receive a Rockies purple t-shirt.
Those big moments in a ball game. The Rockies have dominated. They're up 4-1, but this is Milwaukee's opportunity. Bases loaded. Josmil Pinto is up, native of Venezuela. He's going to be the pinch hitter. Ball 1.
4th game of the season for Pinto. All 3 games have been when he's come in to pinch hit. He does have some major league service time. Was with Minnesota in 2013 and 2014.
That's a strike. 1-1.
Estevez up in the Rockies bullpen.
Good fastball. Late life, 1-2.
There's some run on that fastball.
Outside, 2-2.
Chad just overthrew that one, just pounded his right leg, reminding himself to stay back. Easy to do when you're in this moment, though. 2-2, bases loaded, couple outs.
On the inside corner, strike 3, inning over. Chad Bettis leaves the bases loaded in the inning. There were 3 hits and a walk, no runs though. 4-1 Colorado, middle of 6. Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency.
You know what that is, Drew, right here? It's synchronized shortstopping.
And it'll be an Olympic event in 2032.
Those guys had so much fun doing this. We were just watching it today during batting practice. They were just having a ball out there.
They look good, but they have to work on their synchronicity.
Yeah, they just had a couple then. But the ones we didn't show were really good. We showed a couple there where they were just off. They would have been a 1-point deduction.
I hate the 1-point deductions.
Not good.
Here's Tyler Cravey, and his first pitch is outside to Nick Hundley. Nick had an RBI single in the 3rd. Hundley, Dahl, and Cardullo here in the bottom of the 6th inning. On the ground to second. Jeanette makes the play, 1 out. Find the latest Albuquerque Isotopes jerseys, t-shirts, novelties, and plenty more at abqisotopes.com. Albuquerque Isotopes, the proud AAA affiliate of the Colorado Rockies. David Dahl, an infield hit and a fly ball to left. Gravy turns his back, and then he comes right over the top.
The fastball will be 91 to 93 miles an hour.
Well, Brent Suter, you know, he did his thing. The Rockies got after him early. 4 runs on 10 hits in 5 innings. He didn't walk anybody. He struck out 3.
But for a guy just making his second major league start, I think he did what manager Craig Counsell hoped he could do. Just keep it so it wasn't a very big innings.
Cravey takes it himself. 2 outs. And that'll bring up Cardullo. Steven had a base hit the other way his last time. Oh, and 1 on Cardullo.
Third time this year that Cravey has been in the big leagues. Besides that fastball, throw a changeup, slider, and a curveball. "21 games down in the Springs, had 9 starts.
This ball's pretty well hit in center field, but at Perez, and it's a 1-2-3 6th inning. That's 8 in a row retired by the combination of Suter and Cravey, but the Rockies lead by 3.
To the top of the 7th. We have done it. We have counted down the top 5. We're going to reveal #1 moment of 2016 to you right now. It has to do with a man by the name of Trevor Story. Story's first chapter. Trevor Story's first week in the big leagues, ridiculous. His debut, ridiculous. 2 home runs, right? He had 4 home runs before he even came home to Coors Field to show off in front of his home fans.
It was unfair to the rest of players in Major League Baseball because he set the bar so extremely high. When you're talking about 7 home runs in your first 6 games as a major leaguer, it's unfair. That's all I can say.
But the best part about this story is all the puns.
But it was a short story.
It was a short story, but it was almost like a never-ending story that first week, and really a storybook beginning.
I'm out.
You're out? You're tapping out?
Tapping out.
Spilly.
Spilly leads in puns.
Drew, Huey, you guys got some puns? It's your favorite game to play.
I would have had a great pun if Descalso made that one.
So it's
It
gone
was-
with the wind, if you will?
No, it was a great story, and it became a convoluted story at times because you didn't know whether you wanted to talk about the story of the home run or the story of the marvelous defensive play or the story of the records being broken.
Or just the story of the man named Trevor.
That as well.
Did you get that one? That was from the Brady Bunch.
It's a story.
Thank you.
Jenny, you
guys-
win.
Yeah, Jenny, you win.
We all
Oh,
tapped
hands
out.
down.
Champion. Can you guys believe that Trevor Story is the only major leaguer with the last name Story currently playing?
Really?
Yeah. I find that to be fascinating.
Where are you coming up with all these tidbits right now?
That one was from Baseball Reference, but I'm sure Doug could tell you how many stories have played in Major League Baseball. Doug, get to work. That is in order.
Is it
I'm
impressive?
going to say 7. I'm going to say 7 stories all time.
Total, all time.
I'll
There's
take the
12
under.
minor
I'm
leaguers
taking
with
the
the
under.
last name Story.
I'm with you, Sully.
Yeah.
I'm taking the under.
But many chapters to those stories.
Oh,
Wow.
There's so many dollars that are owed right now. By the way, what charity are we giving to? It's the end of the season. We got to pile up all those story puns.
Hey,
We're
did we-
All that
supposed to
money.
we're supposed to give it to children's literacy.
Yeah.
Did
We're
we-
supposed to, or you're going to write a check for all of your puns?
Well, I don't have the exact name of the organization. That's why I can't. That's where it's supposed to go.
Okay, you do your
It's
homework.
a big story, right?
Yeah, you do your
And
homework and then get us the real
I will
story.
get us there eventually.
Ryan Braun at the plate with a runner at second base. All right, did you say how many stories in professional baseball all time or big leaguers?
I want to know how many big leaguers
Big
they've been
leaguers.
with the last name Story.
Some big league stories. Okay.
Trevor is the only big league story.
Ever in the
Ever.
history of the story?
Yes.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
End of
But-
story.
End of
End of
story.
story.
Yes.
Boom.
But-
Drop the
Spilly
mic,
for the
Spilly.
win. Spilly for the win. It was fun, you guys, to count down the top 5 moments of 2016. If fans missed any of it, you can go to @RootSports_RM. We'll have all 5 of the moments there.
Carr goes out there to end the story of this at bat for Braun, and moving up another 90 feet is Jonathan VR. I'm amazed though, only one big leaguer, Trevor. So you think, well, it's just not that common a name. There probably weren't many minor leaguers either. How about 12?
12 minor leaguers.
12 minor leaguers named Story. And a fellow by the name of Steve Chafter played independent ball between 2013 and 2015. And then that story
Oh, boy.
ended abruptly. Billy, help us.
Well, while we have a pitching change, I want to point one thing out. As we were reliving all the top 5 moments this year by the Colorado Rockies, of the stories, 4 of them were done by rookies. And I think that says a lot about this organization and this team and what we should be looking forward to moving towards next season. It's pretty impressive when we look at the top plays of the year and just the growth that we've seen from a young core group of guys.
That is an excellent point. Chad Bettis goes 6 2/3. He walks off to a nice round of applause. performance. Chad Bettis in his final start of 2016, looking for his 14th victory, and he's in a very nice position to attain that 14th victory. 6 2/3. Right now a run on 8 hits, 3 walks. 2 of those walks were intentional to Maldonado, and 5 strikeouts. And now Carlos Estevez will try to get Chris Carter. Double switch. Christian Adames in at second, though he's over on the left side of the infield. Descalso slides to first base. So Daniel started the day at short, then he went to second, then he moved to first. Daniel saying, "Don't move me anymore, because then I'll have to sit down in the camera well."
You have to be over there with Spillies, and no, I don't want that.
0-1. Big fastball just missed at 98. No, he went.
Oh, it was on the check swing. That's what checked down to first.
Roberto Ortiz said he went around, so it's 0-2. VR's at third, and Nick Hundley calls timeout.
Numbers for Carlos, 53 innings, but this is his 62nd appearance. That would put him 5th all-time among Rockies rookies as far as appearances. Javi Lopez in 2003 had 75 appearances, and Matt Reynolds in 2011 had 73.
Carter fouls it off. 0-2. Boy, VR came.
I thought he was going.
He came down the line 50, 60 feet.
I thought he was. We were going to have a attempted steal of home. Watch how far up. Got to put on the brakes.
Foul tip held by Hundley. That's all for Carter. That's all for the Brewers in the 7th. Estevez fans Chris Carter. The Rockies continue to lead 4-1. High-speed challenge poll question, our final question of the year. Before Nolan Arenado did it this year, who was the last Rockies player to drive in 100 and score 100? Was it Cargo? Was it Matt Holliday? Was it Todd Helton? Continue to vote at Root_Sports_RM, our CenturyLink high-speed challenge. Crowd of 41,068 at the ballpark tonight. Watching the Rockies beat the Brewers right now 4-1, bottom of the 7th inning. With Ryan Spilborghs and Jeff Houston, I'm Drew Goodman. Jenny Kavnar and Corey Sullivan along as well on this Fan Friday. Fireworks after the ball game. The summer-like night. Daniel fouls that pitch off. Game began in the 70s. It's dipped under 70 degrees.
It's downright balmy considering what we had in San Francisco.
Chilly. That's a strike from Tyler Cravey. He had a 1-2-3 6th inning in relief of Brent Suter. Descalso's gone. Well, the Rockies got off to a great start offensively. 2 in the first, a run in the second, a run in the third. They have only 1 base runner since then. That was the infield hit by Blackman with 2 outs in the fourth.
And he ended up being picked off at first.
So here's Adames with his initial at bat of the evening. That pitch misses. 1 ball, 1 strike.
See on the Subaru strike zone, staying down to Adames. And again, right back down at the knees. Maybe just a shade underneath the Subaru strike zone.
Two and two. Blue Jays have taken a 3-2 lead on the Red Sox in the 7th inning. Orioles about to turn out the lights on the Yankees. They're up 8-1. It looks like it'll be Toronto and Baltimore, the 2 wild card teams in the American League. I'll give the AL East 3 teams.
And some bragging rights.
Texas, boy, they're good.
I think that they're the team that really nobody's talking about, though. I know they've won the division, but everything's about the AL East, what's happened there, everything's about the Cubs, but there's been a whole lot of mention about the Texas Rangers.
Charlie hits a fly ball to center field, so the Rockies are going to go in order again. But they have a 4-1 lead as we go to the 8th. Colorado Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. And by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo customers get your 2-for-1 club level tickets by visiting wellsfargo.com/Rockies. In the 8th inning, Carlos Estevez continues on. Fireworks after the ball game. And Domingo Santana takes strike 1 on a changeup. Santana doubled in the 4th, 1 for 3. He was robbed of a hit by Arenado in his last AB. Came in the 6th inning. Nolan's made a couple of terrific plays tonight.
Yeah, one of them against Santana, the other was against Perez. Santana came over from Houston in the Gomez trade. Missed some time with various injuries this year. Part of their future for Milwaukee in right field.
One, two, misses. Well, guess what happened? It's kind of like fall scrimmage where the middle infield guys flip-flop. Adames is now at short, and Valleca's at second.
There you go.
Ooh.
Good credit for playing different positions then.
Three-two, and that is fouled off out of play.
Fans interested in a season ticket or mini plan for next season? Well, it's available. You can call 303 Rockies today for information about a plan that is best for you.
And that pitch misses, so it's a leadoff walk for Santana. Hernan Perez coming up.
Santana 0-2. Chris Russin up in the Rockies bullpen.
Called strike. Perez a single and a double tonight. Also, he was robbed of a hit by Nolan. Two kids who just came up, Santana and Perez. They hope that they're in the mix going forward for this double play ball. Got him at first. Good job by Valleca. I had to reach back on that flip from Adames. 6-4-3 on the turn.
And make sure he stayed there. Couldn't pop back immediately. We had to wait.
And you know what? Here comes Craig Counsell. We'll have another review. It's our third tonight.
Up the middle. And the flip. And the turn to first base. Right here, if it's in front of Pat so he doesn't have to reach over his head, we'll get rid of it quicker to make the turn. He's going to be safe.
Foot on the bag.
Foot on the left foot of the base runner on the bag. When the ball's in the glove.
So he reaches on a 6-4 fielder's choice, and that'll bring up Orlando Arcia. Cardinals leading the Pirates 5-0. And Dodgers and Giants Are they in a delay in San Francisco?
That's what it says.
This is playable, middle of the diamond. Adames steps forward. He makes the catch, 2 outs. Martin Maldonado will come up. Well, now they're playing. It says delay on the scoreboard. I wonder why that is.
I think it was just delayed because they were giving out some awards tonight. Giving out the Willie McCovey Awards.
Want to know on Maldonado, 2 outs. It's a strike. Two and one.
We talk so much about guys getting experience this year. You know what, with the starters, what it means to them. Jeff Hoffman's, John Gray in a year. How about Carlos Estevez? The experience that he's gleaned this year and what he's been able to do. 62 games now in the major leagues.
He's going to be fine. It's
a big piece
part
of
the process.
No, and it's a big piece of that bullpen puzzle as you move towards next year.
He is truly one of the hardest throwers in baseball. And we've seen him be very good. We've seen him, like so many young players and veteran players, to be frank, especially bullpen guys, struggle. And I have said this before, but you hate to see it sometimes at this level naturally. Front office folks will tell you they want to see players in the development process. They'd rather have it happen in the minor leagues. Struggle at some point to see how they overcome it, to see what kind of fortitude they have toward Cargo and right, and he's got it. Estevez has a solid 8th inning. The Rockies lead it 4-1 over Milwaukee. And they've made it hold up so far. They're up 4-1. as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Who wants tacos? Fans, follow @RootSports_RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies taco special when the Rockies score 7 or more runs. In the bottom of the 8th inning, the Rockies will have Pat Valaika, Nolan Arenado, and Carlos Gonzalez to face a former Rocky, Rob Scahill.
Well, Rob was claimed off of waivers from Pittsburgh earlier this year as a Brewer. 2.93 ERA. 15 and a third innings, and those are kind of his overall numbers, but for Milwaukee, he's been better than what he was in Pittsburgh. Rob Scahill's always a guy you rooted for.
Sure. Rob out of Bradley University.
Peoria, Illinois.
Peoria, Illinois. Need a tractor? Good place to go. Back up the middle. Valaika has the misfortune of it going off of Rob, and it got redirected right to Arcia, and it becomes an easy play. 1-6-3. Looks like Scahill's okay.
We saw that happen to John Gray last night. Ball up the middle, went off his ankle.
Well, check this out. This was just announced. The 2016 National League Players' Choice Award, and the 3 finalists for Outstanding Player. This is voted on by the players. Thus, the name Players' Choice. Chris Bryant, Daniel Murphy, and the Rockies' Nolan Arenado. It tells you just how well he's thought of inside the game by his peers. And with all due respect to MVP awards and so many other awards that are voted on by sometimes folks that are covering the game but not playing the game, this means a lot to the guys in uniform.
Oh, heck yeah, because it's the guys that you're competing against. They know what it takes to play. They're looking at it. They say, Nolan, you're one of the top 3 guys playing. I mean, there was a poll that came out the other day. I think it was the Esurance on MLB.com. You and I were looking at this, marveling. Nolan wasn't on there in the top 5 as far as fielding, hitting. What was the other one? Was it MVP maybe?
Yeah, it was MVP. It was top player, and it was best defensive player. And Nolan wasn't in the top 5. And then they had top rookie this year, and Trevor Story. And I understand Trevor's missed the last couple of months, but go look at the numbers. When he got hurt, he was leading the league in home runs of everybody with 27. Well, he still has hit more home runs than any other rookie, and he's not in the top 5.
Trey Turner was on that list, and he came up late.
He came up. He's probably played fewer games than Story has.
And the catcher for the Yankees,
Sanchez.
He was on that list.
He's definitely played fewer games.
Yeah.
And listen, Gary Sanchez has been unbelievable. Corey Seager, unbelievable. Corey Seager is going to be the Rookie of the Year. He played the whole season. He's going to be in the top 5 in the MVP voting, deservedly so. And it's unfortunate. We don't know what would have happened had Trevor not gotten hurt. This is on the ground to Arcia, and Cargo's retired. A 1-2-3 8th inning. The Rockies need 3 more outs to shake hands. They're up 4-1.
A post game, I'm going to give you a little preview. I'm going to give you a chance to maybe pick the guy I'm going to give a post game interview to. I'm leaning towards Nolan Arenado with the 41st home run. You may tweet me and say, you know what, I want to hear about Chad Bettis. I'll get him later, I promise you that. But tonight, we're also going to let Corey and Jenny break down the game, because tonight is fireworks night and they're up in the booth. So that's why I'm here and scouring the bench for somebody that looks sweet to talk to. Can't wait to do it. See you guys.
All right, Spilly, thank you.
Yeah, make sure
so
he gets out
tweet
of there,
Spilly.
though. To get
Spilly
caught in the
goes.
fireworks.
No, so Jenny and Corey are huddling behind us as we speak. Here's Adam Ottavino looking for his 7th save. We're in the 9th inning. The Rockies 4 and the Brewers 1.
His sixth save came 2 nights ago in San Francisco, the game the Rockies won 2-0. Came in just one batter faced. Got Buster Posey to ground out.
And this is Manny Pina, who is pinch hitting.
The 4 catchers they have on their roster.
Similar to the Rockies. Rockies with 4 right now. Another slider for a strike on Pina. Adam Ottavino, former #1 pick out of Northeastern of the St. Louis Cardinals. Got him on a slider, 1 out.
MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is now available. You can join the millions of subscribers, watch every out-of-market game live in True HD on over 400 devices.
That'll bring up Jonathan VR. VR 1 for 4. Spilly, how's the Twitter world treating you?
It's blowing up, and not because I'm looking for my post-game interview. It's blowing up because Matt Holliday, in his last at bat possibly with the St. Louis Cardinals, just hit a pinch hit home run. Emotional home run for him, giving him the fact that he wrote a letter to the St. Louis community thanking him for his time with the organization. Well, that at bat, opposite field homer on a slider, we've seen that happen before. But once he touched home plate, there he was, emotional, giving a hug to Yadier Molina. It was a pretty cool sight.
Wow. I mean, we have seen some remarkable happenings. None bigger, obviously, than D. Gordon's home run. What you think of the Aledmus Diaz grand slam after he came back from visiting with Jose Fernandez's family? This is fouled off, and you know, again, I'm not trying to compare the scale of that for Matt Holliday now leaving, but a lot of emotion for a longtime Cardinal, a very popular, very productive, clearly Cardinal, and Matty goes deep. Good for Matt.
Well, and a lot of what he said in this statement, he's humbled to be able to put a Cardinal uniform on. He's proud of it. You know, he love and admiration for the coaches and the manager. You know what? You spend 7 years in a city, you become part of the fabric of that city, and you know, Matt and Leslie and their kids certainly did that.
Well, we've been around the game a long time. You as a player, Spilly as a player, and for a while you were coaching and an instructor, and now as a broadcaster. You're not going to find many people as fine a guy as Matt Holliday.
No, not at all. Remember when the Cardinals were here, he hit that home run during batting practice, knocked the Help Burger Shack out of business for that night because he broke a window or broke the glass out there.
Yeah, and that caused a rift, by the way. We didn't tell that story. Helton's not talking to Holliday
well,
now.
Yeah,
he lost business. Really upset with him. He said, you couldn't name one somewhere else? On the ground to second. Have to check who's playing second right now.
Yeah,
it's Malayka, because they keep flip-flopping. 2 outs. And Scooter Gennett coming up. Here's the probable starters for tomorrow. Willie Peralta is going to go for Milwaukee. Jeff Hoffman is going to go now for the Rockies. Originally it was going to be Tyler Anderson, still a little bit sore coming out of his last start, and ordinarily he'd make the start, but there's absolutely no point to pushing it this time of year with nothing on the line. So Walt, the training staff, and Steve Foster made a decision that Jeff Hoffman would take the baseball tomorrow. I'm sure Jeff's excited about that. Been working out of the bullpen of late.
A chance to try to get his first win, his first major league win. But Tyler Anderson, 5-6 on the year with a 3.54 ERA, 114 innings pitched. I mean, just a marvelous season considering he missed all of last year.
He pitched to a 3 ERA at Coors Field. He had a great debut season. And he, listen, with any kind of luck, forget the record doesn't wow you, but he very easily could have won 8-9 ball games.
He made 19 starts.
Really even more than that. I mean, he had one outing where you go, that may have been a little subpar by his standards. Other than that, he gave the Rockies a chance to win every time he took the baseball. We look forward to watching him build on what he accomplished this year.
Part of the bright future that we've been talking about here in Colorado.
2-1 on Gennett. 1 for 3 and a sac bunt. 2-2. Crowd of 41,000 standing. Two-two. That's fouled off. Here's the 2-2 again. Almost shaved that inside corner.
So close. Tried to hip side it, bring it back, just didn't come back enough.
Here's the 3-2. In the air, foul, and into the seats. Nick Conley into his squat. Otto's got the sign. 3-2. Outside corner, strike 3. Ball game over. Adam Ottavino nails it down. A quick and efficient victory for the Rockies as they return home for the final weekend of the season. They have defeated the Milwaukee Brewers by a score of 4-1 in 2 hours and 31 minutes.
Backdoor slider locks up Scooter Gennett. Save number 7 for Adam. What a night for the Rockies.
And Chad Bettis wins his 14th. He finishes at 14-8. Rockies got 4 runs early in the ball game. Let's take a look at our Jimmy John's delivery of the game. It came early. Nolan Arenado, curveball, and he hit it 460 feet. Second longest home run of the season for Nolan. He hit one a couple feet further early this year against James Shields when Shields was still with San Diego. Good night all the way around as the Rockies have defeated Milwaukee 4-1. Stick around. Jenny and Corey have the post-game show next.